I'm sorry to say this, but this was his Prince Andrew moment.
The public is going to hear the part where he knew Jeffrey Epstein. They're not going to get past that part.
Kevin Spacey appears to have a bunch of skeletons in his closet, and the more I learn more about him, the more I dislike him.
I think people are perhaps more willing to forgive Will Smith because they understand at least why he did what he did.
Yes, he slapped Chris Rock, but I think his bigger crime is marrying a disloyal witch in Jada Smith.
Hey fam, welcome back to One and Done. This is part 2 of the reaction video of Piers Morgan and his panel in relation to the Kevin Spacey interview. Now, if you haven't seen part 1, you can click up here. Otherwise, without delay, let's get into this. But before we do, don't forget to hit the like, smash the subscribe, ring the notification bell, and let's roll that tape.
I'm enormously grateful that my focus has shifted because Jack was my mentor and my father figure. I'm so grateful that I am alive and I got through this. Well, it's funny you asked that question. My house is being sold at auction.
Really?
So I have to go back to Baltimore and put all my things in storage.
James, did you think he was sincere, or as some people have said?
He's an actor.
Yeah.
I mean, you're exactly right. He's an actor. And
this is the thing.
When we see actors crying on camera, it's kind of what they're paid to do for a living, so we don't necessarily.
Well, it is, but how does an actor then genuinely cry in an interview to avoid that?
You don't. You don't do the interview.
Difficult.
This is the thing.
Well, hang on.
You
Look.
don't do interviews.
All right, but look, Esther, it's fine to say you don't do interviews. This guy is currently unemployed. He's lost all his money. He owes millions. He's one of the great actors of a generation. And he's desperate to get back to work. What else is he supposed to do?
I appreciate that. But the thing is,
silence isn't going to help.
Here's the thing. He has allies within the media that can argue his case for him without making it personal, without having this 2-time Oscar winner cry on screen and tug at my heartstrings. Maybe I'm hardened by the streets of London, but I didn't feel anything. I actually felt more supportive of him when I read Alison Pearson's piece in The Telegraph arguing his case, because that is a member of the public, average, I don't care if he's an actor, who's been acquitted of all charges and been robbed of his livelihood and should have the right to get it back. We don't need to see all of this because I'm sorry, it's bad PR. If I was advising him, I would say no.
James.
I feel a little different to Esther. I do have some empathy for Kevin Spacey. I can't believe I'm actually saying that. I really can't. But
why? Why can't you?
Because I also believe, as he's admitted, that he is responsible for some very bad behavior. But ultimately, he is trying to make his life better. He's doing the work, and I appreciate that. I think that's important for society.
Right, but
look into our misgivings. But I want to mention one thing, Piers.
Hang on, I'll come to you.
That really bothered me about your interview and the way you handled that with Kevin. When you brought up one of the accusers in the Channel 4 documentary.
Well, let's take a look at the clip, and then you can make your point.
Yeah.
We had a lot of fun together. When he left the show, we were emailing to each other. He was talking about working out. He was getting buff. And I said, send me a picture. And he sent me a couple of pictures that were naked and provocative.
We've got them.
Huh. Yeah. He claimed that this incident at the movies happened in 1998. I have an email from him in 2011. I have an email from him in 2013, in which he's not only in the 2011 one, says how great it was to see me when I was just in Los Angeles.
So that's the two different stories there spliced in together.
Yeah, and you
what are you angry about?
You handled that like it was a gotcha, like, oh, well, he wouldn't be emailing Kevin if this was true.
Well, why would he be?
Too traumatized? Because when you've suffered abuse from someone, there is a cycle of abuse that people go through where they go back to the perpetrator to try and resolve trauma that's happened in their past, or maybe they haven't dealt with the trauma.
You send them hot naked pictures.
I'm saying, yeah, because you might be seeking their validation.
Oh, it's bullshit.
No,
Sorry.
it's not.
No, I'm afraid it is.
It's not bullshit.
And this has been my whole problem with the Me Too thing.
Have you ever suffered?
My whole problem with the Me Too movement was that it strayed into this kind of thing where time and again we would see supposed victims then continuing to...
That's so offensive to say supposed victims.
I don't think these are proper victims if they continue to...
Do you think Kevin Spacey's a victim?
Look, I'm sort of going to agree with Piers Morgan here. And here's the problem. We've seen so many false allegations, and the allegations always tend to go up against these wealthy people. These people in power. Now, do they abuse their power? I'm sure they do. Absolutely. But it's the false allegations that really hurt the victims.
Do you think Kevin Spacey's a victim?
No, I don't.
Well, that was definitely the tone of the interview.
No, I don't. No, hang on, Ernest. No, I don't think he's a victim.
But this
I
is
don't
true
think
time
anyone.
and time again.
I don't think you can say Kevin Spacey was being handsy with me and I was traumatized, and then you send him naked pictures.
I think you can if you look at the history of abuse
mad.
and the
I'm sorry,
cycle
James,
of abuse
even you-
and how
even you
that.
have to
No,
admit
it's
that's
not
mad.
mad.
I don't think you believe that.
Listen, you need to go to therapy if you don't believe
It's
me.
mad. No.
Trust me, it's a thing.
Actually, I would
Look it
never
up.
go to therapy.
Well,
I think
you-
it, I
yeah,
think
it's
it
not
actually
a-
makes things a lot worse for
think
most people.
I'd be going to a
Ernest,
lot
you've
of
been trying to get in
therapy
here. I mean, Ernest, why was somebody who's so traumatized by Kevin Spacey send him naked pictures of himself?
I think the larger point for me in all of this is that Kevin Spacey appears to have a bunch of skeletons in his closet. And I feel like the more he talks, the more I learn. And the more I learn more about him, the more I dislike him. And the more I don't want to buy a movie ticket to ever see him again.
Yep.
I think that's the reality here with this guy, is that from the very beginning, and you talked about this in your interview very early on, was that his whole rollout when he was first accused by Anthony Rapp, which of course that got resolved and, you know, his innocence was proven, I believe, in court. The way he responded to that, and then what came after it. I mean, these are countless allegations. Some of them.
Anthony Rapp's a good example. Anthony Rapp, hang on, Ernest, hang on. Anthony Rapp is a good example because it was that claim which ignited the firestorm against Kevin Spacey. That claim then went to court. It was examined through proper due process. And at the end of it, Kevin Spacey was found not only not guilty, his supposed victim was told to pay Kevin Spacey $40,000 in damages.
Yes.
Right. So no one believed it. And John Barrowman happened to be there at the time and said it never happened.
Right. You said this in an interview. I hear that. What I'm saying to you is that when you made the conflation with Will Smith and him, and I want to make this point earlier, it's one thing when a person has an isolated incident or a controversy and they do one big bad thing or they have this one big blow up. But the issue with Kevin Spacey is that the more and more we hear about him, there's more things coming up. And then he's admitting to things that we don't know who or what and who it involves. But I think that all of these different things is what put a dark cloud on him, and he's not helping himself.
Okay.
And I just feel like interview get more harm for him.
It is the public perception. And you know,
exactly.
like, nobody is legally.
Please don't talk over each other. Let me bring in Critical Drinker.
Yeah, it is the case of public perception here. Nobody is legally preventing him from making movies. He's not in prison. He's not prevented from doing anything. It's just that people don't want to work with him because of these accusations that have come out, and partly by his own admission that he's indulged in very inappropriate behavior. And I don't blame people for not wanting to be part of film projects with Kevin Spacey in them.
But there are lots of Hollywood stars that I could mention who have a lot of stuff in their back catalogue and seem to be fine carrying on with their careers. So again, it comes back to
he must have been a jerk.
Hang on, Ernest, hang on. Let other people talk.
Yeah, some people are saying that Robert De Niro was on the Epstein list. That's why he's come out with this TDS, foaming at the mouth over anything Donald Trump says. He's trying to get himself on the right side of the law. Now, I don't know if any of that's true, but it is extremely strange, his behavior, and apparently his name is on that list.
So my point, Critical Drinker, is there's a lot of hypocrisy, a lot of not just double standards, just weird, different standards applied to people.
I mean, potentially. I mean, I don't know the details of the Hollywood stars that you're referring to, so I can't comment on each one individually or anything.
Well, pretty much take the other 30 members that Nerdrotic was talking about as the best actors of our generation. A lot of them would have stuff that would be deemed as bad, if not worse, than Spacey.
I think the key here, though, is risk assessment. So these companies that are choosing to work with these actors or not work with them have taken a calculated risk assessment and are thinking, this man was just on Piers Morgan's show talking about the fact that he was on Epstein's plane, and that at the very least, by being accused by dozens of people, there's an indication of some form of sexual impropriety. Not necessarily criminal because he's been acquitted or not found guilty, but some degree of sexual impropriety.
Right.
And they're just thinking the risk is too high.
All right, let me bring in Nerdrotic. I mean, it's interesting to me that Will Smith is back. Is he back? I mean, does just having a massive box office hit basically put everything with him to one side?
I think so. I think with considering his crimes, which Drinker talked about, was a slap at the Oscars, and it was the slap heard around the world, and Jada didn't make anything any better, and he didn't apologize to Chris Rock publicly, but one hit movie can do it, and it's a self-aware movie. I've seen it. It's good. Will Smith gets slapped multiple times in a scene. Like they leaned into it. And if you do something like that, we're a pretty forgiving public when it comes to that.
Okay, and I saw Jerry, on a separate point about that movie, Jerry Bruckheimer, who's the producer, who also produced Top Gun Maverick and so many great blockbusters. He said at the weekend when he saw the box office numbers, if you make something the audience wants to see, they're going to see it. It's that simple. If it works for them, they'll line up. I wish we all knew what that was. We all have hits every time, and then we don't.
Great choice of the word hit there.
You know, I've been on about this for a while, about old-fashioned blockbusters. That I like them. I want to see more of them. I think too much of the Hollywood fare has been dished out, has been alienating to a bigger audience. Am I right?
What they've tried so hard to push over the past 5-10 years, it's very clearly not working at this point. And I think there's now we're starting to see this pivot back to more, I guess, traditional storytelling and traditional movies. And I think action movies like Bad Boys 4 are part of that swing. And it doesn't do anything revolutionary. It doesn't subvert our expectations as an audience, and it doesn't redefine the genre. So what? I don't need it to. I just need an action movie with things that explode and people looking cool. And that's what we get in a movie like this. It's not that hard to please your audience, but man, Hollywood make it really difficult for themselves.
Can I just add that Will Smith's reacceptance into Hollywood is because his fall from grace wasn't that bad. Yes, he slapped Chris Rock, but I think his bigger crime is marrying a disloyal witch in Jada Smith. And
by the way,
every man has made a mistake in romance. All he needs to do is divorce her and get with Margot Robbie. And
I wrote a column at the time defending Will Smith because if my wife had alopecia and had lost all her hair and was feeling very sensitive and raw about it, and some smart-ass comedian at the Oscars in front of billions of people ripped into her about it, mocking her for that, and I could see she was upset, I'd be straight up there and giving him a slap too.
What if she slept with your son's friend?
Why isn't Jada defending herself?
Piers is just exposing himself again. He doesn't like free speech. This clown wants to shut down comedy. You can't have it both ways, Piers. And your show's called Uncensored. How ridiculous.
What if she slept with your son's friend? Would you be as willing to...
Well, you don't know that's true, do you?
No, she did. She admitted it. She admitted with sleeping with Jaden's friend.
And weren't they separated at the time as well? I'm sure they were separated.
And that's irrelevant.
That's not irrelevant. She's a disloyal witch.
It is irrelevant.
Do you know what is irrelevant? Actually, Ernest, you're right.
That is still two things. One, we don't know, again, their entanglement of a marriage is what they have, and that's between them. That's irrelevant to the fact that at the end of the day, that's Will's choice. He still chose to be her husband.
Which is
and he has the right.
But also,
he's Will Smith. He doesn't need to do this.
This whole conversation is pointless. He assaulted
it's irrelevant
a man.
To the larger point.
He assaulted a man. There's no excuse
Well, he
for
punched
that
the bloke
ever.
who was
There's no
mocking his
excuse
wife.
for violence ever.
He slapped a guy who was mocking his wife.
Who cares why? He should never have done that.
Really? You wouldn't defend your man, James?
I wouldn't defend my man by hitting someone.
If you had a man you loved,
I would never,
a spouse or a boyfriend who had alopecia, lost all their hair, was very sensitive about it, and some guy mocks him, you'd be straight up there slapping away for England.
I would never dare. I'd slap you right now, but that's it. Listen, you do not slap someone if you're upset. Go to therapy. I can't believe I'm saying that again today. But you work through your pain. You don't hit someone.
That's such an American.
I'm afraid.
Such an American thing to do.
Here's a question for you then.
You definitely do.
And all this nonsense about.
All right, don't all talk over each other. Let me ask. Let me ask critical drink of this. The other thing I miss about movies are bonkbusters, the love scenes, which have disappeared. Big piece of my Sun newspaper over here today is showing us all the memorable love scenes in Hollywood history, and it's now all stopped. And if there are any, they're tightly controlled by intimacy coordinators, which is about the most awful phrase in history. Are we basically, through a sort of weird puritanical purge, are we losing the love scene from Hollywood? And is that something which benefits society or diminishes us?
There's two angles to this. Like, there is one, the observation that a lot of the love scenes that you see in movies are kind of superfluous to the plot, and they are there to provide the audience with a bit of TNA. And there's also the understanding that, particularly if it's an action movie, it's going to be a predominantly male audience, and they are going to appreciate that kind of thing.
I mean, James Bond is not even allowed to seduce Bond girls anymore. He's not allowed to go near them. Literally. I mean, it's ridiculous. He's James Bond.
That's crazy.
There's something to be said for the sexual chemistry of just having two attractive people on screen who are attracted to each other. And
not touching
the
each
tension
other.
that comes with that.
That's
No,
what
and
it is.
that's the problem. Now you get this weirdly chaste, asexual, sterile kind of relationship on screen. Where you just don't get anything to
Guys,
grapple with,
just
and
watch
it
porn.
results in
It's
a
not
pretty
the same.
weirdly
Why do you need to
unsatisfying
It's not the
experience
same.
at the
Just
cinema.
Porn,
Why can't you just watch porn?
acting in porn is so
are you
bad.
talking
It's
about?
so fake. And they're
Exactly.
like,
Put it
ding
on
dong,
mute.
the handyman's at the door. I need some more like acting chops.
I had a great friend. We're talking to James
People in
Bond.
Hollywood.
We're talking to James Bond.
This is the crazy.
Well, I was to say I had a great conversation with Roger Moore, who was one of the great Bonds. And I said, what do you do about the love scenes? And he said, well, Piers, he said, I would always have the same conversation with the Bond girls before we started the love scene filming. I would say to them, I would like to apologize in advance if I get too excited. And then he paused and he said, and then I would add, and I would also like to apologize if I don't.
Exactly.
I mean, Roger Moore was one of the best.
That is
but
horrifying.
Listen, James Barr says that is horrifying. Think about that for a moment. James Barr finds it horrifying. Well, I know why you find it horrifying, because a
where's the
man
consent?
might find women attractive.
There needs to be some consent in there. There should be some consent.
It's not
my
like
God,
you
lock
consent,
yourself
you
in a
can't
box
control
and
how a
have some
man feels
therapy.
about an attractive
Cheers.
woman.
I find it
He's
interesting.
literally
This is
acting.
the- this is
You don't
the
give
thing,
your
like, when
lower
you
abdominal
talk
region
about,
consent to find someone
Kevin Spacey
attractive.
drama.
I just
Horrifying.
I'm
We just talked
shocked
about
by
Kevin
that.
Spacey.
Somebody being
drama.
excited by a beautiful woman is horrifying, according to
Piers,
James
you're
Barr.
working next to Esther right now, and you're not getting excited or apologizing.
We don't know that for
being
sure.
excited.
Let's move on.
He's working.
Actually, Esther made it
on.
clear last week that her maximum age range for men is 42. So
I'm 28. I can't go higher than that.
Sadly, I am way beyond the bar.
Now that's hilarious. I love the banter, I love the fun, and that's the way it should be. We want to be entertained, we want to laugh. And good on Esther. Usually she is great value.
Let me bring in Nerdrotic. I want to talk to you about Star Wars. And this suggestion they may have lost the plot. This was the director and lead actress apparently are both lesbians. And this was an interview with the director.
Both, because this is, I would say, arguably the gayest Star Wars, I think, by a considerable margin. And are you excited about that? Are you
Not the
bracing
gayest
yourself?
Star Wars.
Was this a fun element of?
No, I don't think so. And yet people have told me that it's the gayest Star Wars, and I frankly
You're offended?
into it. No,
I think that Star Wars is so gay already.
Okay.
I mean, have you seen the fits?
So my first question, Nerdrotic, what do they mean by the gayest Star Wars? Do they actually mean gay, homosexual, given they're both lesbians? Or do they mean gay, which apparently is an internet trend, a meme thing of kind of it's all gone a bit wokey? What do they mean?
Yes. The question the answer is yes to both questions after
Right.
watching the first 3 episodes of The Acolyte, where 2 women conceive twins without a man in an all-female matriarchal society where
Amazing.
the Force is now turned into a thread and it's not the Force. Yeah, I wouldn't argue with anything they said in that interview, that it's been gay and it's been turned gay. It's not Star Wars, a male brand that everybody could enjoy turned into a female brand that nobody can enjoy
Oh my
at
God.
this point.
Sexist.
Nobody's watching.
Wow.
The ratings are cratered.
It's the highest rating Disney Plus show of the year. What are you
No,
talking?
it's not.
had
It
more
is.
views
No, it's
than
not.
Piers Morgan's
What's that
interview.
According to
Yes,
Disney.
It had more views
According
than
to
Piers
Disney.
Morgan's interview with Kevin Spacey. So what are you talking about?
That's been out for
It's
48
been out-
hours.
it hasn't been out for a whole day yet.
It's their highest rated
But-
streaming show of the year
But
so
it
far.
didn't have more views than Drinkers 2 videos on the subject.
Right.
On that
And
one
there you
day.
go.
Can
So,
I just
no,
say
those-
the Acolyte is anti-entertainment. Like Hollywood were from
Yes.
they go to
Yes. I said
entertain,
that.
anti-entertainment. They want to do everything to not entertain you. It's incredible.
It's also just insane to say that like a different planet can't have lesbians. Like, what are you talking about? Why?
You can
What are the
have
rules of
lesbians.
aliens?
You
Sorry.
can have, look, man, you can have all the lesbians you want, but if you try to pretend like the foundation of the whole Star Wars
Star Wars
universe
has
has
always
to be
been-
based around lesbian
It's-
sex, like, why?
It's
Why
always
make it
been
like that?
gay, like men with their lightsabers flashing
What?
around. C3PO, no, she didn't.
Don't be ridiculous.
It's the gayest
Only in your twisted
this
Ryan
is
Barr.
so camp. This is a ridiculous, like Darth Vader's chic sense of style. Come on.
See,
this
it
is
was
just
horrific.
toxic man babies who don't want to share their toys. That's what this is.
Okay, now this has just turned into Clown Town. Star Wars became famous because of all of the things he's just mentioned. It had action, villains, heroes, sexual chemistry, technology, and supernatural powers. You know, sexual orientation shouldn't be anywhere near or being pushed in the storyline. Who cares? Let the story breathe. And the more people that can identify with it, the better. It's going to make it more popular.
That's what this is.
They're whining. They're mad.
Still rules the box office and doesn't want to see this crap. So I'm fine with Disney. Keep making your lesbian interpretive dinner theater. I think it's hilarious at this point.
Ernest, are you into lesbian interpretive dinner theater?
It's always the thing. I just think it's always the trend, right? If there's more women, if there's more queer people, if there's more people of color, there's always a whine from men like them that are going to always complain if they are not the center of attention. Boo hoo hoo. You have the rest of
if
the
what
world,
they make is good, we'll support it. But like, if you
Except
make
for Bad
absolute
Boys,
garbage, we're not gonna.
Yeah,
Simple as that.
I watched Bad Boys. A couple of black guys running around solving crimes and stuff.
Yes,
I was
your
totally
one black
fine with
friend
it.
movie.
So how am I? Oh, okay.
But
all right. So I like The Expanse. You know The Expanse.
Name another one. Name another one. Name another
The
black film
Expanse.
that
I
you
just
like.
named one.
I dare you.
Straight out of Compton. I love that movie.
But listen, I like Bad Boys. That doesn't mean I can't also enjoy lesbian dinner theater. In your words, like why can't we enjoy? Why can't we enjoy both of those things? Why is it just so trivial to you when it happens?
Can you name one woke movie that's ever worked?
Who are you asking that question to?
Any of you?
Oh God, do not talk about Barbie.
Literally
Honestly,
millions.
I don't have the energy to get angry about
Black Panther wasn't a woke movie. It was a brilliant movie.
No.
Black Panther was
No.
Sorry,
Barbie was an anomaly and an abomination.
Black Panther's a superhero created by two Jewish men, and they interpreted it properly.
Yeah, exactly right.
Because it's not invented by a black person, that's why you don't think it's woke?
And Barbie was an atrocity.
No, it was interpreted properly. You have
What are you
trouble
talking
hearing
about?
down there?
Ernest, you're a menace,
Barbie only
man.
worked because a load of women went out to thoroughly enjoy men being bashed.
Top Gun was pretty
Barbie
woke.
was a
The
box
remake.
office hit.
You know the only one who got on the Oscar stage out of Barbie? Ken. Remember that? Only one.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
Billie
Yeah.
Eilish.
Ken had the last laugh.
Is so embarrassing. Like, I mean, if I had
Of queer
time
women.
to sit on the internet and Google woke movies that were a success, then I would hit you with probably.
But you
You'd
can't think
find
of it again.
nothing.
But-
You would find nothing.
Can you think of it?
Well, I'm
Yeah.
not a film critic, so I don't
I
have
just
them ready to
named
go.
them.
So the answer is you can't think of it.
We just
I
named
just named them.
two.
You just don't like the answer.
Huh?
I said I named one. You just don't like the answer.
Well,
Barbie
the
was one of
Barbie,
the
I
biggest
agree.
hits last year.
Barbie is the only one I can think of in modern times where
I'll name one for you. I'll help you out. Captain Marvel. That was a woke movie, and it filled
Yes.
with intersectional feminism, and it made $1 billion.
yeah, okay.
There you go.
Works once in a while.
So occasionally they get it right, or they get it wrong, but
But-
still
But as I
get it
just
right.
said,
Most
Top
of the
Gun
time they
Maverick
get it wrong
was
and it
pretty
fails
woke. It
abysmally.
moved towards having a much more diverse cast than the previous Top Guns. So there's definitely room for a
But how does
successful.
having like some diverse cast make it woke? I don't
Well, it
understand
had
the
females
reasoning
in
there.
the cockpit, which was definitely
How's that
different.
woke though? How's that woke?
Because it's so.
Well, there
what
are
is the
female
definition of
fighter
woke?
pilots, so it's not.
Yeah.
It's accurate. It's accurate.
Yeah.
And when the
Exactly.
first Top
There's
Gun
women
came
in
out, by the
cockpits.
way, there probably weren't.
But that's
any,
what woke is
and now
about.
there
And
are.
who were
So
the
that's
main
the difference.
That's not what woke
characters? It was
was
Well, I know where
Maverick,
the origins
a
of
white
the word
guy.
come
It was
from, but in
really-
this conversation,
I'll give you an example of woke is when Disney tried to do Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs with no dwarves.
but that's not
Right? I mean,
woke.
at
They're
that
trying
point,
to
when you see a
they're
six
trying
foot,
to-
hasn't came
when you
out
see
yet,
one of the
though.
dwarves is 6'4" tall, you think,
Piers,
sorry, this is what I mean. It is woke
They are
It hasn't
insanity.
trying-
came out yet.
They are
Be fair,
trying
it hasn't came
to
out yet.
make sure that they do not play into stereotypes. That's what this is about. It's
Well,
not-
so Snow White and the 7 genderless widgets.
I also think that
Let me end by one question. I want to wrap things up.
What's the stereotype?
So there you have it. That is part 2 done and dusted. We'll have to wait and see what happens with Kevin Spacey in the future. Will he get rehired? Now, I've got a funny feeling if he does end up in a big movie, people are going to be intrigued. They're probably going to go watch it. Now, in regards to woke movies, I cannot stand woke movies when they push agendas. I just want to go see a movie and a story that is relatable, that I can sit back, relax, and enjoy. And Piers Morgan pointed out how ridiculous Disney is with Snow White and the 7 Dwarves having no dwarves in it. Talk about standing over minorities. One of the dwarves was 6'4". Now, just to balance things out, maybe they should put a couple of dwarves in the Celtics and the Dallas Mavericks. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Now, I haven't seen the movie with Will Smith and Martin Lawrence, Bad Boys 4, I think it is. I love the first two franchises, or the first two movies. Maybe I'll watch it. I'm still pretty disappointed with Will Smith. And yeah, Star Wars, they've just ruined it. I wish they'd stop remaking and extending all of these different franchises and screwing them up. Anyway, that's going to wrap it up. Don't forget to leave your thoughts and comments in the comment section. I'll jump in as I normally do. Don't forget to hit the like, smash the subscribe, ring the notification bell, and your support really, really helps and is much appreciated. And I'll catch you in the next video.